Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Continental tires. Go to TireRack.com to see their Continental test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler. How you doing, buddy? We got some Thursday night football here.
You're a Jack guy on Thursday night. Your Colts playing?
Yeah, we're down 4 right now. Phillips trying to go for it on 4th down here. We'll see what happens.
You're right. Trying to go for it on 4th down. Looks like you own not Richmond product, but VCU product. Mo Alley's getting involved in some of these.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I took off today for the Masters.
Hey.
You hit me up a little while ago and said you had triple screens while you were working, watching everything you could Masters-wise. Which was
I had Amen Corner pulled up. I had the featured group, and then I had 4, 5, 6.
You were doing it, man. You were hammering it there. I went with broadcast on the TV and then watched going back and forth the My Group thing. Did you see that, by the way?
No, I haven't. I didn't try that.
It's awesome. Like literally, you choose the guys you want and you go into that thing and it just starts showing you the most recent shots from whatever guy you have selected or like the leaders or some amazing shot.
Okay.
Now, there is no commentary, which for some people they like it. It's like, I don't want to hear anybody talk. I just want to see the golf shot.
So it's essentially a choose your own whip around.
That's it. And it's awesome. So it's pretty sweet there, man. And like your Colts are getting closer and closer and closer to the end zone. Maybe take the lead here. Give it to Jonathan Taylor. I have him in a fantasy league. Please, please, please. Although he's
worst case scenario, we kick another 3 here and I at least get some more fantasy points from Rodrigo.
There we go, man. There we go. Awesome. Well, folks, it's Thursday. It's time to know your enemy, which we do every week. Win or lose the prior week, we're going to still be here. I hope you guys enjoyed Saturday night. That was uncut. That was raw. That was me and Brian quite a few beers deep, giving our true emotions of how we feel about the program right now. And but right now, we're going to know your enemy. We are going to look at the Miami Hurricanes, the number 9 team in the country, rolling into Blacksburg for the high noon kickoff that has been moved to ESPN due to all the SEC basically becoming a petri dish for the coronavirus.
Yes, it has, man. Yes, it has.
Ooh, Miami 6-1. The one loss is to number 1 Clemson in Death Valley. So definitely a good team in the second year with Manny Diaz with the changes he made. And let's just start straight up with it, Brian. Let's look at their offense and let's talk about the quarterback, De'Aaron King, the Houston transfer who has just seamlessly transitioned into Miami. Likely a lot of that has to do with the new offensive coordinator, Rhett Lashley, and the air raid system. Especially with De'Aaron coming from the Holgerson system, last year, and then before that, Major Applewhite. He's always been in some sort of that concept. And, man, he is lighting it up. 1,828 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 4 picks, leading the team in rushing. So another mobile quarterback, unfortunately, 400 yards. Yeah. 2 additional touchdowns there, completing 63% of his passes. 13th in the country in passing yards, 11th in passing touchdowns. He has the 5th most rushing yards for a quarterback. And Brian, what just happened?
Touchdown, jet sweep.
Oh God, are you kidding me? The irony. Again, with a rushing quarterback, we definitely have to be worried about last week. Now, Brian, do the numbers, are they telling the truth about what De'Aaron King, or are they telling lies from what the tape says?
They're telling a pretty good amount of truth, man. This guy is going to be a big handful for our defense this week. As you said, it's an air raid type system, but it's based in that RPO. So it's very similar to kind of what we saw UNC running to a point, but a little bit more of the quick passing game versus shots down the field. But King does a really good job of getting the ball out of his hands quick. But he'll take a shot against mismatches or off that play action. Really love targeting his tight ends, swinging it out to the running backs in space, and taking kind of shots up the seam with that play action to either the slot or the tight end. And you said it with the rushing, he can absolutely burn you with his legs as well. A lot of design kind of quarterback sweeps, not as much up the middle with any sort of like leads or powers, mostly on the edge. But he's really good at the scramble drill, will take off and really burn things if you're in like man coverage or anything like that where he has some space to operate. So want to definitely keep him in the pocket as much as possible and hit him as much as possible. We're going to be having our hands full all day, man, because he can really hurt a defense with his arm and with his legs.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the rushing numbers are there. And then when you kind of look across the board, I mean, he spread the wealth through his receiving. You talk about those short passes and stuff and other ways that he's hitting his receivers. I mean, they have 5 players with over 200 yards in 7 games. That's pretty good. That tells me there's a couple guys leading the charge here, but at any point in time, he can choose someone and go to that person. Now, nobody has more than 4 touchdowns, which, again, you start getting down inside the 30 and 20, and you can't keep, which the way our defense has been playing lately makes me worry even more. But I want to look at 2 guys specifically. You kind of mentioned one of them. He loves to go to his tight end, and that's Brevin Jordan. 6'3", 245. One of the best tight ends in his class when he came out in 2018. And looks like he is going to return this weekend. He's been out the previous 3 games. Of course, he comes back this weekend. Right? And you kind of look at some of his draft projections. I mean, he's looking at probably being a second-round guy and, one of those top 7 to 5 to 7 tight ends in next year's draft. Now, in only 4 games this season, 18 receptions, 243 yards. And, but when you hear 6'3", you hear 245, you hear about some of the Brian stuff already mentioned, just, offhand about what King likes to do. He's going to get into it a little bit more. I want to look at 2 other things, Brian, here. I want to look at Harley. I want to look at Mike Harley, the 5'11", 185-pound wideout out of Fort Lauderdale.
Sure.
Who of the 5 receiving option is clearly King's favorite at this point in time. He's really excelled in this new system compared to last year's. 35 receptions, 497 yards receiving. He's already surpassed his yards total for last year. 4 touchdowns, averaging 14.2 per reception. So clearly probably taking some shots, probably some of those wide receiver schemes you talked about. Now, Brian, there is one piece that I've got to tell you about. Which I don't think it should come as a shock to anybody, but in case you didn't know, they're still one of the worst teams in the country at protecting the quarterback, giving up almost 3 sacks a game, which you feel like that hasn't changed last year. Although, to me, I feel like they were giving up more last year, but
they were.
They were, yeah. That's neither here nor there. So, Brian, how do you think the air raid concept, or not only helping the receiving core out, but also helping the offensive line out?
So yeah, I'll start with Brevin Jordan, how the system has really led him flourish. You a guy with that type of athleticism and that size, getting him out in the flat and getting him up the seam, really gives him room to operate and take advantage of mismatches in the secondary there. He's a big time red zone threat. And honestly, an underrated blocker. He does some good things for them in the run game as well. So, he's a guy that we're going to need to account for every play. But as you said, the guy that they really like to hit from a wide receiver perspective is Mike Harley, who plays primarily in the slot. And that's the guy that King really targets when he needs to move the sticks, is the tight ends and the slot receiver, Mike Harley. He'll take kind of swings, screens. I saw him take a slant against NC State to the house. So he's a guy that can take some of those short routes and make big plays out of them. Has really good vision once he has the ball in his hands, and can outrun most anybody on the field as well. So we're going to have to account for him every down as well. And you talked about the offensive line, man. They're not a great offensive line. They're probably just above average in run blocking. Even though the middle of that line is a little suspect, but they're still pretty bad in pass pro. But with the RPO concepts, with the zone reads, with the play action, with the ball getting out of King's hands a lot faster, they're not giving up the sacks they were last year because the ball's out of King's hand, and just his athleticism. If they don't have a great play, they don't block it well, but all of a sudden King can make something out of nothing and turn it into a positive gain there. So, that unit has had a lot taken off of their plate just by the insertion of Derek King into this lineup.
Brian, did you have memories of some of the Tyrod, B-Ran, Marcus Vick years when the lines weren't so great at Virginia Tech, where those guys could make just everything out of absolutely garbage?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you look at it, it's like, King's getting ate up, and all of a sudden he kind of gets outside, and it's a 10-yard gain on what should have been an 8-yard sack. I mean, you see that a lot with this team. It's going to be something that we're going to need to focus on. Like I said, I want to keep him in the pocket, working that leverage, and make sure that if he's stepping up into the heart of the defense and not getting to the edge where he can hurt us real bad.
Got it. Other names to know with the wide receivers: Mark Pope, D. Wiggins, and Will Mallory, all three over 200 yards, all three averaging over 12 yards per reception. So again, they've got numerous weapons. So the two names we really focused on. If you hear the other names being called, don't be shocked this week. Now, Brian, we saved essentially the worst for last. Well, the worst when it concerns how our defense has been looking for the past few weeks. We're going to look at their running backs. We know King running the ball, and this might be an air raid type system, but this is, again, one of those modified air raid type systems where the running backs are going to get the ball some. They're going to get their chances. And really, there's two guys who have significantly stood out. The first is Cameron Harris, the 5'10", 210-pound running back out of Miami, so a hometown kid down there. He's a truly your more traditional style running back, getting 396 yards, about 4.9 a carry. Also an additional 87 receiving yards with 6 total touchdowns. And the other guy I want to look at, to me, this is as a true freshman, and it makes sense after Lashley came in last year. He is the more air raid type of running back. Jalen Knighton, 5'10", 195 pounds. He was literally one of the top all-purpose backs coming out of last year's class. We say what we want to say. We make fun of how they recruit. They still can get talented guys, and Knighton is definitely one of them. 171 yards on the ground, 135 receiving yards. Also does some kickoff returns. Got I think 5 or 7 returns. Has gotten 100 yards in that, along with 2 touchdowns. Brian, after last week, and then after the Wake game, and after parts of the Louisville game, We know the problems we have on the rush D. What does this team do that could expose it even more with King and these two guys?
Well, what scares me is kind of the same thing that scared me against Louisville, and they really didn't take advantage of it against us. But having running backs and a quarterback that can rush against you at an elite level. In this case, Harris is more of the kind of stick moving one cut type back. He's also a really good blocker, so you'll see him leading out for King on some of those design quarterback sweeps, things like that. So he's the guy that's going to be probably getting the most snaps, the most reps there on the offense. But you'll see Jalen Knighton work in quite a bit. He is much better on the edge in terms of the rush game. They also use him as a receiving threat, as you were noting there, very much a dual threat type running back there. And he has really good speed and breaks tackles, so that's why he's kind of a threat on the special teams as well. So we got to keep an eye out for him. And the other guy that we'll mix in there occasionally is Don Chaney Jr. He's kind of a little bit of a mix of both of those guys. He's got some one cut, can break some good tackles, but they have used him in the passing game as well. So keep an eye out for him. He's kind of the third down option, almost like a spell type guy that can really come in there and take carries that would either go to Harris or Knighton, just because he's a little bit more versatile.
Nice. Now, Brian, one thing I do want everybody to know is this team's only had 8 turnovers in 7 games, so they don't hemorrhage the ball a lot. They do protect it pretty well. 3 of those came against Clemson, so in the other 6 games, they're averaging less than 1 turnover per game. Solid conversion on third down rate at 43.9. Worries me since Iris's significantly just keeps going up. We're at 41.2 and stopping the rush. That's only 68th best in the country, so on the bottom side, below average. And another thing I noticed, and it goes back when I hear you talk about the short passes, the quick scrambles, they are getting a ton of first downs a game. They are the 19th, essentially best team in the country at getting first downs per game. So, you talk about they can hit the home runs, but they're not afraid to get in the car and take a Sunday drive on you and say, okay, you want 12 plays? Let's do it. We can do it this way. So, Brian, we sit here, and I made the joke earlier as we were getting all this stuff come up. I was like, Brian, have you really went to the depths of the despair that you don't even want to write anything about how we And Brian was like, no, I've got some. I've got it written down. I haven't typed it in yet. I'm like, okay. So, Brian, how do we slow them down?
So the big thing, and I mean, you're going to call me kind of crazy when I say this, but I want to get the ball out of King's hands as much as possible. I want, when we're talking about playing on defensive line, if they're in that zone read and that RPO, I want to attack the mesh and make the quarterback either get rid of the ball fast or give it to the running back. I don't want the ball in King's hands for very long, because the longer it's in his hands, the worse things happen. I think can happen to the defense. Getting the ball in his hands, like with squeezing that mesh point in the RPO and in the zone read, it's going to create more predictable outcomes in the running game. If we know we can force the ball into the running back's hands, that means if our linebackers are where they need to be, if our defensive tackles are holding their ground, then we should be there to make the play. So I'm trying to create more predictable outcomes here. So that's what that would do. I'd have some defender probably chase Jordan pretty much wherever he goes. He's going to be a guy that they're going to try to get the ball out to quick, and he's also going to be able to attack up the seam. I'd like to take away those type of plays as much as possible, because that's going to be those little stick movers that end up kind of frustrating and tiring out the defense. I know this kind of goes some with what I've already talked about, but we need to set the edge, motherfucker. please don't give up outside leverage to this team because they will eat your lunch all day. And the game starts at 12, so there's going to be lunch available. And last, man, if you can do those things, you still need to tackle.
Which we have not been doing a lot of.
No, we haven't, but that includes Jordan, that includes Knighton, that includes Harris, that includes Harley in those quick passing game. It includes King out on the edge or when he scrambles out of the pocket. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to make plays, but we have to make them. In order to make a play on defense, you have to tackle. That's a prerequisite.
It's the truth, man. And the last few weeks, it's been a struggle for us. So, let's hope that something is clicking. As Dax Hollyfield said at the podium, it feels like they were getting closer and closer, and it's about to click. Something needs to click.
Yeah, something's got to click because the defense has had a pretty, I'd say, I'm not going to say a bad run, but the last 4 games haven't been great.
No.
And 2 of them have been pretty bad. Honestly, Liberty was about as bad as they can get.
It's very true, man. It's very true. So let's hope something clicks there, and maybe it's the last week was the darkness before the dawn. Now, Brian, let's flip to the other side because, the strength of our team right now is the offense. And let's take a look at Miami.
Yeah, let's do it.
Total defense-wise, giving up 393 a game, good for 52nd. So about middle of the road, not great, not awful. Giving up 148 on the ground, which is 53rd in the nation, 245 passing, which is 75th. So, of their defense, obviously the running game is showing as the strength, but a couple of their games they've gotten ahead and teams have been forced to pass. So sometimes those skew the results, but either way, you look at it, you kind of feel, well, this is strength on strength for us. Middle of the road, sacking the quarterbacks, a little less than 2.5 a game, 47th in the country. They have forced 10 turnovers. So definitely, 5 of each. So not picking the ball off, not punching the ball out, but just kind of steady. And believe it or not, it's one of those things where for what this offense does, they didn't need a super dominant defense. They just needed a defense that's doing what they're doing, which is playing very steady, not doing anything spectacular. So so why is it with a lot of talent, they're just they're not blah, they're not, hey, they're more, they're okay.
To me, some of it has to do with the fact that when you've got a fast-paced offense, a lot of times other teams kind of match that tempo, and that can put your defense on their heels a little bit. So sometimes you see that with offenses that kind of play that more up-tempo game. But if we look at this defense, let's get into some of the minutia of what they do and how they do it. So they're kind of a multiple front defense. They usually have a base 2-4-5 nickel type defense. They're very similar to UNC in terms of alignment, but they deploy their positions a lot differently. They've got a what they call a striker, which is kind of similar to like our whip position, kind of an oversized safety with good coverage skills, ability to come up and play the run as well. You'll see them often cover the tight ends and guys in the slot, depending on the personnel that the offense deploys. The player to watch there is Gilbert Frierson. He's the guy that is out there the most at that position. Keontra Smith will work in there as well, but Frierson's probably one of the better players on the defense just because of his versatility and ability to really run with guys, but also make some plays in their running game. We've got the other position that we're going to talk about here is Viper. These are your stand-up edge rushers.
Okay.
Think about what Trayvon Hill did a lot last year. think about what you've seen Quincy Roche do so far for them. Jalen Phillips is another guy that will work in that type of position. Primarily edge rushers and guys that are getting up the field. They'll slip out into the flat, but they usually don't have any strong coverage responsibilities.
Okay.
And as I've looked, I mean, they will show various fronts. So a lot of times they'll have that kind of that 2-4-5 look with those Viper type players standing up. Sometimes they'll just have one standing up. Sometimes they will have a single D tackle and both of them standing up. Sometimes they will have almost like a 3-4 look. So they deploy these guys really differently depending on the opponent and the personnel and formation that the offense comes out in.
Yeah, Brian, you mentioned there, obviously Roche, a Hokie miss. I don't know if it was a miss or a missed bag for Roche. But, 31 tackles, 10 tackles for loss. He's tied for the team lead with Jalen Phillips at 2.5. Another guy you have not mentioned that kind of caught my eye was Bubba Bolden, the 6'3", 200-pound USC transfer, who is leading the team in tackles. Also has an interception, also has forced a bunch of fumbles. So, you've kind of set that up. What is Bolden doing on this team, and why are his numbers sticking out so much kind of across the board?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of the other standout player in the secondary. I kind of mentioned the guy that's playing striker. He's more of a linebacker that can cover. Bubba Bolden's the true secondary player that's standing out here. Very instinctive player. He has great speed and he's not afraid to hit. He'll lay a pop on guys in the running game and guys going across the middle of the defense. But he also plays the deep half really well. So you'll see him, make some plays in the secondary with some tip balls, some interceptions, but you'll see him come up and cover the run just as well as you would see a linebacker. So really versatile player there. The rest of the back end though is kind of susceptible to being thrown on. So I think we might have some opportunities there. And on third down, they like to bring pressure. They don't have great sack numbers, so they're not getting home a lot with it. But they are doing a good job of making quarterbacks throw before they're ready, and that's created some of those turnovers we've talked about. So they mix up their fronts a lot, so we don't really know what level and who's coming pre-snap, so they do a good job with kind of disguising those blitzes.
Well, yeah, you mentioned Bubba and essentially all the stuff he does well. And, I mean, Bolden was a top 100 guy coming out. He was an elite prospect, and it's no doubt why you transfer from USC to Miami. Weather's similar. Schools are similar. So I guess in Southern California, felt like he needed to go.
A lot more humidity.
Yeah, more humidity. But hey, Brian, before you get into kind of breaking down what we need to do on offense, if you think Rousseau was playing, do you think they would be a top 15, top 20 defense?
They'd be in that ballpark. Right now, probably at an elite level, Roche and Phillips are doing a damn good job. But if you throw in another, all ACC caliber player, potential All-American caliber player to be the focal point of that, I mean, the sky would be the limit for them getting pressure on the quarterback. So that would definitely, I think at least bump them up probably in the top 25 range or maybe top 30. They're definitely missing his presence because, after Roche and Phillips, there's not a whole lot of great play. There's some good play. But Quincy Roche at the Viper and Phillips playing both a traditional DN and that Viper role, they've had some success with that. So not a big jump in the top end, but being able to rotate an additional elite level pass rusher into that mix would definitely help them out.
Right. So what are we going to do to attack them? What do we need to do to attack them?
Well, if there's a weakness of the defense, it's kind of in the middle. So I think we're going to see a lot of inside zone. I would like to, even though we saw too much of it last week, I would like to see us run some of the QB lead and the QB powers to hopefully get some gash plays up the middle there. But we need to get the ball out of Hooker's hands from time to time and let the running backs make some plays. So it bothers me that potentially Khalil Herbert could be out again. We need to find another guy that can work between the tackles other than Herbert. I love Blackshear, but I think we're misusing him as just a RB2 spellback.
True.
We need to use him in more versatile ways. And so I'm thinking maybe some other guys are going to need to step up to be that between the tackle type running back. If we got a situation where Herbert needs a blow, or in some case like this where potentially Herbert's going to miss the game. So that's the big thing. I think this team is also susceptible to the screen game just because of how aggressive they play at the D-line and linebacker level. So that's where Blackshear can come into play. That's where, Gallo or Mitchell, if he's healthy, can come into play. So hopefully we can see some more of the tight end and running back screens that will take advantage of some of their aggression. And honestly, we're going to need to attack them in the passing game because they're going to stack the box regardless of whether Herbert's in there or not.
Yep.
Because they know we're going to still try to use our offensive line to assert a strong running game, whether the ball is going to one of the other running backs like I hope it will, or whether it's going to be Hendon Hooker running a ton of quarterback lead and a ton of quarterback power or quarterback sweep. So, I really hope that we're able to find another option and also keep them honest with a consistent and efficient passing game so that we can really still run our playbook the way we'd like to.
It's true, man. Something that Fuente said the other week was guys like Taj Gary and Marco Lee, they just aren't quite ready yet. You know what, man? We know how those practices look, and this guy's looking better. We know that you failed on that occasion, at least with quarterbacks. Could you be failing with running backs as well? Potentially, yes. And so maybe you just need to give those guys the opportunity on the field and just throw practice down the drain, because in this situation, you've got to find a second running back. I think Blackshear's okay as a spellback to where, hey, we're going to give him a couple blows. That's fine. They have underutilized him. I love Tay Robinson to death, but why Raheem has not been on punt returns baffles the crap out of me. Probably the one glaring thing Shy Best has not done good this year is not giving that man the opportunity to actually return punts. One thing, Brian, I think could be key in this game potentially to help the Hokies is we've got to take advantage of all the penalties that they do. They're averaging 75 penalty yards a game. They are literally one of the worst football teams in the country. You think about that, essentially, you think 75 yards, you think that's an extra touchdown.
Yeah.
And the way we've played the last few weeks, an extra touchdown in one game won us, an extra touchdown in one game lost us. And actually, if you go back even to the Wake Forest game, extra touchdown lost us the game. We need to take advantage of that, Brian.
Absolutely. And, I mean, we saw just watching the tape, man, some of it is, procedure sites type stuff, but some of it's just being undisciplined and getting, personal fouls. So, this is still a Miami team, guys. They're still going to have some undisciplined play and gift you a first down here or there. Honestly, some tight calls in the NC State game and UVA game probably ended up losing both of those teams a potential shot to knock off Miami. So hopefully we can take advantage of them where some of those other teams fail to do so.
Let's hope we can, man. But you know what? Let's turn now to the pivotal players. And today it's kind of funny. It's going to be pivotal people. We've had to go a little different here this week. I want to start with offense, and it's not even a doubt who number one is. It's Hendon Hooker this week. If Hendon Hooker doesn't play well, we have no shot in this game.
Yes, especially if we've got guys like Mitchell and Herbert potentially not being good enough to go. A lot's going to fall on Hooker's shoulders, just as it did last week. And he answered the bell last week, despite not getting the win. But he's going to have to do it again if we're going to have a chance to win this one. Needs to play a turnover-free game, be efficient in the passing game, and do everything he's been doing in the running game when his number's called.
It's true, man. It's true. The second one is the running back unit and whole. We've already kind of went in depth a couple times with it. I'm sorry I went on my tangent a few minutes ago, but that's going to happen when we're playing the way we're playing. And Brian's already said it as well. It can't just be Juice. If Juice is banged, there's got to be somebody else like out there. Brian's already said it numerous times. Blackshear's not that guy to be on the inside. Is he an okay spell? Yeah, right? 100%. Yeah. You want to give him 3 or 4 or 5 inside? Cool. He's got to be used elsewhere. I don't care if it's Jalen Holston, Marco Lee, Taj Gary, anybody else you want to name. We've got to go ahead and try. And you had a free year. What the hell is it going to hurt to give one of these guys a chance to go out there, even if you don't feel they're ready in practice?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I said it a little bit when we were breaking down, what we need to do. And I'll say it again. We need somebody in that running back room to step up. We talked about all offseason, we bolster the running back room. And obviously Herbert, that's paid big dividends. You've misused Blackshear a lot. And then after that, it's been kind of a question mark. Like, okay. I mean, we saw Holston get some good runs week 1 against NC State, and he had 1 or 2 early in the game against Liberty. And then once we realized that quarterback lead and quarterback power were working, we just got lazy and just kept running that over and over and over. And I get that, you can get 4 or 5 yards with that pretty much every time you call it, but at some point, at what risk? Like, why are we just continually, with this offensive line against a team like Liberty, just continually running our quarterback into the middle of that defense?
True, man. It's true. And the other piece, you talk about Jalen, and it's the piece, and it's why our number 3rd person is our number 3rd person. He had broken that 12-yard run to get it inside the 5. And Brian, after I say that, if people listened last week, who's the number 3?
Brad Cornelson, Mr. Corn himself.
And Brian, I'm going to let you go ahead and give a couple of your reasons, and I'm going to give my reasons why he's number 3 on here. Go ahead and lead, sir.
Well, I went in just now about let's not kill our quarterback just because it's the easy thing to do. Again, we were playing Liberty. We should not need an extra blocker and risk our quarterback's health to get 5 yards a pop. It's my opinion. Y'all can disagree with me, but just because something's working doesn't mean it's the best option. Number 2, one of the biggest criticisms I always have is that he does a poor job of adjusting to get his offense comfortable when the initial game plan kind of goes out of the window. Cool. And I never saw that adjustment. Again, he kind of took the easy route of just running Hooker up the middle the whole game instead of trying to get other guys comfortable, other guys involved. I honestly would prefer if we stop the damn check with me's and just go tempo as often as possible. Because when we went tempo, it clicked no matter who got the ball. It wasn't just about Hendon Hooker. It was about getting the ball out, whether it's in the run game or the passing game, and doing what was most effective. So that would be my suggestion, and that hopefully is something that we see in this game.
It's true, man. And what you said there is where I am at. It's the check with me and all that crap. I think it's got to stop. Go get the guys comfortable. What I don't want to see this week is us be in prime situations to score touchdowns or to gain first downs, and then the boneheaded calls come out. If he comes out here and he calls, if he calls the whole game like he does 80% of the game, can we win this game? Yeah. Could we win this game by more than 1 or 2 points? Yeah, we could. Yeah. But if we go there and I'll revert back to it again. You're at the 4 fucking yard line. You can take a 10-point lead in the half. You have a timeout in your pocket, and you run what he ran. Or let's go back to UNC, Brian. Essentially, I still feel the drive that swung that game in their favor. We're at the plus, 42?
Yep.
3rd and 4. Let's run a screen short side, 2 yards behind, essentially 6 yards where you need to go to Tavion Robinson, and then run a slant. Those are the ones that anger me.
Yeah.
So for him, it's, dude, call the right game. Know your strengths. Don't get your quarterback killed. Get people comfortable. And you know what? Go tempo. And if the coach comes in, if head coach comes screams, hey, you can't keep doing that, say, listen, this is the only way I can get us going without screwing the pooch.
Don't get a puckered asshole in the red zone. If you run tempo the whole field, and all of a sudden you get in the red zone, you get a puckered asshole and start overthinking things, you're still killing drives.
He just said puckered asshole, folks. All right. Well, let's flip it now, Brian. Let's go over to the defense, and I feel like the first two are just becoming the constants, and it's not a shock. The first one's a defensive line. And obviously with what they do, if we, especially on the interior, man, if we play like we've been playing the last few weeks, again, if we continue with the similar combinations,
yep,
I'd be a little different maybe for Pollard this week because they do like to pass and he can shoot upfield quick. But
if you're going to roll Pollard out there, you can't roll Hewitt out there at the same time for significant snaps in a row. That's my opinion. Y'all can like it, dislike it, whatever you want to do with it, but that's what I'm saying. Tackles are going to have to hold their own, hold their gaps. Defensive ends are going to have a much tougher game. They're going to need to force the action at the mesh point and make King give the ball to the running backs. And if he doesn't give the ball to the running backs, you need to make him pay for that.
So are you saying in this case, Brian, like if they're on a read, it's just like, don't care, don't even read it, just go right after him?
The read man needs to attack the mesh point with outside leverage.
But
meaning that
go. Your point is you don't care. I don't care.
We're not flying upfield. We're flying at the mesh point.
Okay.
And in doing that, you should force, more often than not, King to give the ball to the running back. And if we can do that, I like our chances a whole lot better than having to essentially account for both the quarterback and the running backs at the linebacker position, which we're about to get to.
So the shocker. The linebacker position's number 2. Obviously, last week we lost, Rook for the majority of that game. And, man, they took full advantage of that. It appears he should be back. But it's the same. We talked about it earlier. You said it. I think you said it 17 times. Tackle, 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 tackle.
Yep. All I want to see from the linebackers is good run fits and tackles being made. If that's all I get, that's all I want. So if we can do that, we can worry about the other stuff at a later time.
Uh-huh.
Let's handle the basics of linebacker play, and to me, that's what needs to get done here.
All right.
Holy shit, is he going to score? No. Okay, sorry, guys.
Well,
Colts about to go up
big.
17 here.
Like Brian's going to have a few celebratory beers after we're done recording and after maybe his Colts close it out.
The Colts have left a lot of points on the field too, so it's
They're at 27.
yeah, the fact we're at 27 with probably easily 10 points left on the field, I'll take that all day.
Give Frank Reich some credit here, by the way. Frank Reich running those jet sweep, running those pop passes, he's essentially running away from the strength, even though that one Clowney play that you mentioned was just horrible, but he's not letting them do essentially what they do up front. Hey, Brad, I hope you're watching this. See? Look. All right, last one because the defense don't get out of this anyway. This is the big one.
Yep.
Third down stops as a defense. And, Brian, I put it on here. You didn't change it. And I think you agree with me. And this is as a whole. The defensive coordinator, Justin Hamilton, call the right plays. Coaches, I hope you're coaching the guys up to things that we're seeing this week that if we do, we're going to do it. And the players, keep your responsibility. Make the tackle. Because if third down happens this week like it did last week, we lost to them by 3. It's going to be a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. And, taking it a step further, defensive coaches, players on the sideline, keep that team hype on third down to where they're playing with energy and not looking lethargic. It's like we get to third down and we're like patting ourselves on the back and we're like forgetting, oh yeah, we still got to stop them one more time. Or we at least need to stop them from gaining enough yards where they can roll the dice on fourth down. And Miami is a team that will roll the dice on fourth down, ladies and gentlemen. So if it's fourth and 3 or less, look for them to go for it if they're not deep in their own end.
It's very true, man. It's very true. So those are the pivotal people. Not players this week, the pivotal people. And it might be more of this as we go along with these last 4 games of the season right here.
Yep.
All right, Brian. Saw it today. Hewitt gets to 25. Hopefully it means his plays look better in practice because it's not been great lately. We know he's the heart of a lion, great leader, but, we need to see the results on the field, and I hope wearing that number takes him up a little bit.
I mean, in some ways, it's almost like he's playing bad, but he's being put in positions to play bad.
He's not. No, he's not.
So, I mean, I'm not saying Hewitt's the best player on the field, on the defensive line, or anything like that, but, he plays hard, and, again, he hasn't been put in the greatest positions to succeed. Hopefully they do better with that this week with him wearing 25. He wore 25 last year when we beat Miami, so hopefully that has some good connotations carrying over into this year. We'll see.
Brian, what's the uniforms look like this week? I did not see the reveal. Did we do a reveal?
There was not so much of a reveal. It was a little photo drop that we didn't have any, no video cut, nothing like that. We just, all right. It's fucking maroon helmets. It's fucking maroon jersey. Fucking white pants. Fucking white cleats. You're done. Get out of here.
Hey, have the players have been told you're playing like crap? We're losing games. Nobody's allowed to go film something cool during the day.
Yeah, you don't get to take whatever half hour out of your day to throw in a nice fit and get shot by Zach and that team. So. Yeah, I kind of like the idea there, just, throwing it out there and being done with it. I mean, you don't get to do cool shit when you play a game like you did against Liberty. That's just the way it goes.
All right, Brian. It's prediction time. And I fell flat on my face last week, so I get to let you lead this week.
All right, man. Well, I like this to be a tight game, but I don't like us to win it.
All right.
That's not saying we can't. That's saying I don't think we will. I think we definitely have the ability to stay in this game, especially if we can find some of the answers that I talked to. But it's going to be tight, and I think it's going to be a 41-38 Miami victory.
All right. I'm with you. I'm a little bit bigger of a number than you are because I think it's going to be very similar that we're going to have a couple times where instead of scoring touchdowns, we score field goals. I think it's going to be a good game. I think we're going to show pretty well. I think there probably will be some fire, but the way our defense have played really, the last 3 weeks, I can't see us winning this game. I'm going to go 49-38 Miami as well. It's one of those things. It's just you want to be a fan, and we want, but when again rooting for them, basically pretty much our whole adult lives and a lot of our adolescent years, we want to be real. We don't want to be the podcast that is always Hokies are going to win. I don't want to become what's the guy that was in DC for all those years? Larry Michaels. The Redskins were the most dreadful team. I'm going to say the Skins win this one 21-20. And it's like, dude, they're playing the Packers, who are like 9-1, who are scoring 46 points a game. You guys can't do anything. So, that's just me, man. And I think that's you as well across the aisle there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, talent-wise, other than Clemson and this year Notre Dame, I think we can compete with pretty much any team in the ACC, but we've just been so inconsistent, and we got a couple guys, like key guys, that might be out of this game. I just don't see it happening, man.
Absolutely. All right, well, folks, we're going to roll on 5 games this week, 4 ACC, 1 out of conference, because, as I said earlier, the SEC is essentially a petri dish for COVID, and nobody's playing, as is the Big Ten is becoming, and they're having to just officially fully cancel games. So let's look at these 5 games, Brian. Well, let's start with Wake UNC. UNC laying 13.5. Brian, you led our game, so I'm going to lead this game. I mean, I like UNC, and I think they're a good team, but I've seen Wake play, and Wake is very scrappy. And I feel like giving them almost 2 touchdowns is way too much. I think they will put up some points against UNC. I think they'll lose, but I think it'll be a lot closer than what the experts think.
Yeah, that's a 1-score game. Give me Wake and the points.
All right. So we got an agreement here on this one. And
Shocked. Not that shocked.
No, not shocked at all. All right. Louisville UVA. Game got canceled last week due to some COVID issues down in Louisville. Can't blame us. Everybody's had it on our team. They can't have it a second time and give it to you. UVA laying 3.5. A 2-4 team laying 3.5. What do you think?
Oh, man. UVA is one of those teams that's burned me a couple times and helped me a couple times. Man, give me Louisville.
All right, Louisville for Brian. I'm going to go opposite on this one. I'm going to pick the
Cavaliers
here. Just because when you hear a team lost that much with COVID, you knew there were some guys out from our game, probably people not getting full weeks of practice, and even like this, I think UVA will scrap it together in some way, shape, or form and beat them. So
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the reason that I'm going Louisville is just because that UVA secondary has been suspect, and I think they hit some big plays down the field against this team.
Gotcha. All right, the next one, Brian, and I'll lead this one, is going to be BC Notre Dame. Notre Dame coming off that unbelievable win Saturday night over Clemson in the shadow of touchdown Jesus. They are laying 13.5 to BC. Brian, do you know the last time Notre Dame beat a number 1 team? prior to Saturday night?
I do not.
It was 1993. It was
Okay.
it was one of those first college football memories. They beat Charlie Ward and FSU. Essentially, Ward's last second touchdown pass to the end zone fell flat. Irish wind flooded the field like Saturday night, not as many people. Do you know who they played the next week?
Who's that?
They played BC. Do you know what happened the next week?
What happened next week?
They lost.
Okay.
Getting themselves out of the national championship game.
Okay.
So I think Notre Dame wins this, but I'm going to lay the 13.5. There's no way you're going to say they're going to cover almost 2 scores coming off that kind of emotional victory. So give me BC. Give me the 13.5 points.
I'm right there with you, actually. We saw BC hang in there against Clemson. I think it's a similar type deal here, especially with Notre Dame coming off a big victory. Probably feel really good about themselves right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I think BC, Notre Dame does a really good job of taking away the run.
Yes, they do.
BC don't really run the ball, man.
Well, yeah. We've talked about them like one of the worst running teams in it.
So, I think BC still moves the ball because they're not relying upon gaining a bunch of yards on the ground. So I think BC is able to keep it close.
Absolutely. All right, this is an interesting, Brian, because the way everything's looked down in Tallahassee, we think it's bad here. And we've seen people make points like, listen, we're at least 4-3, 4-2 in conference. FSU's actually, 1-5, 2-5, 1-5 in conference, right? Am I right?
Yeah, you're nailing it.
So NC State's laying 9.5. I think Marvin Wilson and several other guys opted out this week. One of their wide receivers is transferring to Indiana. So what do you think, Brian, on the FSU NC State game?
This wouldn't have been a bad line before the mass exodus. Give me NC State, man.
Okay. I'm going to go right with you, Brian, because it's a mass exodus. They got their quarterback, but you saw you saw them just hemorrhage points to Pitt, and Pitt held them. But I think what it is the quarterback who did have those success for a few weeks, the tape's getting out there, and it's like, this is what we can do to take it away. So I'm going to take it with you, Brian. All right, we're going to go out of conference for the big one Saturday night. Michigan at Wisconsin. Wisconsin, who has been COVID riddled for multiple weeks, is laying 4.5. And I'm trying to figure out, I know Michigan's lost 2 in a row, after the opening week win against Minnesota, losing to Michigan State, losing last weekend to Indiana. But you're talking about a Wisconsin team that hasn't played in 3 weeks. You also don't know when that Wisconsin team is going to be, how fully engaged they're going to be with all their players. I don't know if Michigan's going to win this game or not, but if you're giving me points in the way I'm smelling things, I'll take Michigan on this one.
Yeah, this one's kind of an interesting one because you've got 2 scenarios that are working against each other. You've got Wisconsin that probably is the better team. If nothing, everything, all the other factors taken out, Wisconsin's the better team. But they're coming off multiple weeks of dealing with COVID. You don't know how many of their players are going to be 100%, how many of their players have gotten significant amount of practice. On the other side, you've got Michigan that has not played well the last 2 weeks, but you've got Harbaugh that's probably coaching for his job at this point. You know what? Give me the Badgers.
Oh, okay. Brian goes with the Badgers. And we actually picked, let's see here. We actually disagreed on 2 things this week. So
it's like a record. especially for the smaller sample size.
Exactly.
If this was 8, that wouldn't have been that bad, but usually at 5, usually 1's the number at the most.
Very true. All right, what you smoking this weekend, C?
This weekend, buddy, I'm just going pulled pork, throwing a Boston butt on the smoker, going Carolina style.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What's some sort of a few must-haves when you do a Carolina style sauce?
So I usually go with vinegar and some Texas Pete, throwing a little brown sugar and some pepper flakes. That's in my. I essentially use that as a mop sauce, and then I dress it at the end after I pulled it. As far as actually rubbing the butt itself, when I go Carolina style, I just go kosher salt. That's it. Yeah. I let the mop sauce flavor everything and just let the salt do the talking as far as the rub.
Nice, man. Anything breaking other than your team is up 17 with the ball at 6:50?
Yeah, we running out the clock now. This is a kill shot here. Nothing else, man. I haven't seen anything come across my board.
Awesome. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and subscribe for your podcast on your favorite source, including Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Music. As always, we let our buddy Jason Long play us out. Catch him in Roanoke at Bloom Restaurant and Wine Bar on November 19th. He'll be playing at 5:30, so go out and see him if you live in that area. Also, check him out on Spotify and Apple Music. We thank you for listening. Always look forward to your ratings, your feedback of what we're doing good, what we're doing bad. Let us know what you want to hear more of. And as always, let's go.
Hokies.